pretending you're like Charlotte Dujardin or on the Allegra riding your dressage test, and take that in with you. So there's all sorts of things. But we're just going to do a gentle mantra meditation to end. So once again, finding your sit bones, sitting up straight and tall, taking that breath deep into your belly, inhaling belly, ribs, chest. You can close your eyes or gently soften your gaze. And then we're going to bring our awareness back to the breath. So that sound that the breath makes, so hum, means I am. So you can just stay there with I am. You can inhale, so, exhale, hum, or I, inhale, exhale, am. Or you can add a word of empowerment that says means something to you. I am, exhale, strong. Inhale, I am, exhale, worthy. Inhale, I am, exhale, capable. So you choose which word or how you want to do that, and syncing that phrase with your breath, inhaling and exhaling. And as you exhale, gently let go of all the tension and worry that you carry around. Let your forehead soften. Let your shoulders gently drop away from your ears. Bring that awareness to the breath. I am. See if you can let that space between your eyebrows lengthen and widen, releasing all that tension in our face, sinking deeper into our sit bones, letting go through our hips. Always remembering it's okay if your mind wanders off. The thing about meditation is it's like anything. We have to practice it. And then gently releasing the mantra, coming back to your comfortable pace of breathing. And just taking a moment here and noticing the effects of anything we did today. Paying attention to your breath and to your senses. Remembering that yoga means union, and if you can breathe, you can do yoga. And we can find that when we sync our breath, when we get control of our breath, we will affect the horse also. I don't know how many of you have ever taken a deep breath in and exhaled while you're riding and had the horse sigh also. And taking a long, deep inhale. As you exhale, slowly blink your eyes open. And then just taking a moment here, giving yourself a little wiggle, bringing yourself back awake. And so there you go. That was just a simple, gentle chair yoga. Any questions about yoga? I can tell you some different types of yoga if you'd like to know different types of yoga. So there's power yoga. There's hot yoga. There's gentle yoga, which is there's chair yoga, which is what we just did. Yin yoga. Yin yoga is long stretching. It's very slow. So you hold a stretch for like 4 minutes. So it can be you either really, really like yin yoga or you hate it with a passion. There's Kundalini yoga, which is also does more chanting and more breath work. And what I teach is a vinyasa flow sort of yoga. I teach a lot of gentle yoga because I have a lot of elderly clients, but a vinyasa flow where you do the sun salutations, you flow your yoga, your warrior series, and you do all that is also a good option. If you're looking for a yoga class to take, always look at the teacher's certifications and the certifications of the yoga studio. Be sure that they have some sort of training, because you don't want to just go to a yoga class and have somebody who just took a yoga class try and teach you. You want somebody who knows a little bit more about the body and can help you, offer you modifications. Somebody who knows riding and the certain different muscles involved in riding can also be helpful. But there's all different types of yoga, so don't try a yoga class and say, oh, I hate yoga. Try another one. or another one. But it's a lot like riding. Believe me, it's helped my riding. So I started yoga 20-some years ago, and because of a thoroughbred mare, started personal training and weightlifting because of the Hanoverian gelding, so all of it's related. Anybody have any questions? Sure. Sorry. It was so short, but yay. You're welcome. They call this the second hardest pose in yoga. First hardest is Shavasana or corpse pose. So we're going to just sweep our arms up and we're going to stretch tall. And then exhale, we're going to sweep our arms back down and around to our heart center. This time we're going to sweep up. We're going to take our right fingers around our left wrist. We're going to stretch tall, and then we're going to bend to the right. The next inhale, we come back upright. We switch our hands. Lengthen up more, and then bend the other way. Woohoo. Inhale back up. Exhale, sweep those arms down and around again. And now gently dropping your arms. Resting your arms by your side. A little bit of twisting, and just gentle. Just let the arms hang by your side. Let them gently smack your body wherever they can. Start slow, and then gently, go a little bit faster, a little bit further. Just getting a little bit of movement going after we've sat for a while. A lot of information we've processed. And then, rather than stopping all of a sudden, just see if you can just gently let the body untwist back to quiet. Sometimes it takes a little while. All right, so now that we've moved a little bit, I want to show you yoga that I do in the barn. And in the barn, you got your boots on, you don't want to get on the ground. So I do a lot of yoga in my barn, either on a hay bale or in a chair or against the stall wall where the horses are eating. So let's go ahead, let's sit down on the chairs. I'm going to show you my little friend here. So this little guy, I wanted to show you the pelvis, specifically the sit bones. See where they're down there at the very bottom of your pelvis. And look where the hip joint is. It's right above the sit bones. So a lot of people think when I say hip joints, they're thinking, oh, here's my hip joint way up here, and the hip joint's down here, which is important when we ride. It's going to be important when we do a forward fold, because when we forward fold, we want to keep the back straight. We want to fold the pelvis over the top of the hip joint. So a lot of people, I say forward fold, and this is what I get. They round their back. Oh, I can't reach my toes. But if you think of rotating, lifting that pelvis up and over that hip joint and rotating the pelvis, keeping that back flat, you get more of a lift up and then, oh, there's the ground, sort of thing. But that's important, that where the hip joints are is important when we're doing a lot of these stretches for riders, a lot of the hip stretches for the muscles that run along the back and along the front of the hip. And then, of course, the shoulders. We'll get to talk about the shoulders. They're fun. All right, so let's find on our chair. You might want to come forward on the chair so you're not leaning against the back unless you need to lean against the back. And find the sit bones. So let's just rock forward and back on our sit bones and say, oh, there they are. They're at the very bottom of your pelvis. Maybe side to side. And then coming back to quiet, sitting there. I like how you all have heard of Wendy Murdoch. She has a term she uses, which I think is very appropriate. She calls it root beer float. So you root into your sit bones, you breathe into your beer belly, and then you float your chest up. Getting that idea of sitting up straight and tall without this happening. All right? Because that happens a lot. So from here, finding this upright, quiet position, I'm going to do what we call centering. It's where we begin to arrive in this place, in this time. We let go of the future. We let go of the past. We're here and now. We're present, which is important when we're riding, too. So, beginning to arrive in this place and this time. You can close your eyes or gently soften your gaze. And gently begin to bring your awareness inwards. Breathing in through your nose, out through your nose. Noticing the coolness of the air as it enters your nostrils, and the warmth as it exits through your nostrils. And beginning to notice all the sounds around you, the tractor and the horses, taking your focus outwards. And seeing if you can bring your focus into this indoor arena and notice the sounds in here. And then bringing that awareness even further inward and seeing if you can notice the sound your breath is making as it moves in and out of your body. The gentle soul of the inhale and the hum of the exhale. Noticing every place on your body that's touching the chair and the earth. And noticing every place that's not touching the chair or the earth. Notice the brush of the air against your skin and the warmth of your clothing. And then we're going to come to a basic breathing meditation. So first of all, before we start that, take one hand and place it on your belly. And take the other hand and place it on your chest. And notice your breath. Notice which hand moves first. Beginning to breathe. Inhaling, your belly expands like a balloon. Your ribs are going to spread open and your upper chest lifts. And as you exhale, your chest falls, your ribs move together, and your belly draws gently back towards your spine. Inhaling belly, ribs, chest. Exhaling chest, ribs, and belly. And playing with this 3-part yogic breath. Inhale belly, ribs, chest. Exhale chest, ribs, and belly. And gently releasing both hands so they rest gently on your legs. I'm going to do a box breath. So, counting to yourself in your own head at your own pace, as slow or as fast as is comfortable for you. You're going to inhale to a count of 4, pause for a count of 4, exhale to a count of 4, and then inhale to a count of 4. I think I forgot one there. Oh, inhale to a count of 4, pause for a count of 4. Exhale to a count of 4. Pause for another count of 4. Then begin the breath again. Counting to yourself. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Continue with this breath for a few more times. Noticing. And the thing about meditation is you'll notice your mind wanders off. It's okay. If it wanders off, just gently notice that it's wandered off and bring it back. Remembering that the noticing is part of meditating. It's okay. And this is one of those breaths you can do before you go into a dressage test. It's really helpful. Then we're gently going to release the meditation and return to our own comfortable pace of breathing. And noticing if there's any difference since we first started. If you've noticed any difference in your breath or in your body, it's okay if you don't. It's okay if you do. No judgments. And then let's do a little bit of, spinal movement. So take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, slowly blink your eyes open. And we're going to do some gentle spinal movement. So the spine is very important when we ride. How many people know riders who have bad backs? Yeah. So what happens, the discs don't have any direct blood supply. So by gently moving the spine, and we move it in 6 ways in yoga. We flex and extend it. We bend it right. We bend it left. And we twist right and left. It's like a sponge. So by moving it, we squish, squish, squish on the side, and, like a sponge, when you squish one side, you release the tension, all that fluid goes back into it. So it helps to maintain the elasticity and health of your spine. So I know so many people, especially equestrians, who have bad backs. So we're going to start with what we call seated cat-cows. You can do this seated, you can do it standing, you can do it on the horse, you can do it laying on your back, you can do it in table pose, seated cat-cow. You can do it in your car if you're desperate. So as we inhale, we're going to rock forward on our sit bones. We're going to bring our chest forward, arch our back. This is cow. As we exhale, we rock back on our sit bones, around our shoulders, give ourselves a nice stretch. This is cat. So inhale with your breath, brings you forward. Exhale takes you back. This gentle movements, moving within your own range of movement. So not forcing it. If it hurts, don't do it. Finding that connection between the movement and the breath, that's so important. That's what yoga, does anybody know the definition of yoga? It's union. So it's union of mind, body, breath. That's why it's so helpful for equestrians, because we want to have union with our horses. But first we have to have union within ourselves. All right, so let's make these cat-cows smaller until we find ourselves sitting upright on our sit bones. And so we already bended earlier, but let's do it again. So take one arm down beside you and grab hold of the chair. Let's inhale, the left arm in the air. Lengthen, and exhale, just gently bend over. Now see if you can keep the weight in your sit bones so you don't tilt. Inhale, we come back up, and that hand comes down, and we go to the other side. Inhale that right arm in the air, and then bend. And then gently come back up. Now you can also do this on the horse, and gently take that arm down, and now twist. So you're going to understand, sit up straight and tall, find that length in your spine. Always think when you find length in the spine to drop your chin. I don't want this happening, so dropping the chin. Take the left hand behind you, find the chair. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, turn and twist to the left. And now I want you to check in with your hips and see what they did, because sometimes they grab hold. Now what is this? If you're on a horse, why do you want to do this? Shoulder in, lateral work, hips and shoulders. Hips follow the horse's hips, shoulders follow the horse's shoulders. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, untwist. Let's go the other way. So take the right arm down, left hand to right knee. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, and we twist the other way. And you lengthen and you breathe that long, so deep breath. Now, especially since you're twisted, this is where it gets a little bit harder to breathe into that belly because the belly's twisted. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, untwist. And shoulders. So many riders, they ride with their shoulders like this. So let's do a little bit of shoulders. So let's inhale, bring our shoulders forward and up towards our ear. Exhale, take them back and down. Moving with your breath. Always remember that. Inhale up, exhale back. Inhale up, exhale back, and just gently let them rest back there on your back body. Now take a moment and just see how you feel here after all that little bit of movement. All right, so let's do a hamstring stretch. So we can do that in a chair. We can do it standing. We can do it on the mat. But let's take our left leg out in front of us with our toes pointing towards the sky. We want to think again of that hip socket, where that hip socket is. So thinking of moving the hips forward and over as we start to lean forward. Hands can stay on the thigh or they can reach down towards the calf. Now, don't round your shoulders, because the hamstring runs from the sit bones down the back of the leg and attaches to the back of the knee. So if you're feeling a pull behind the knee, bend the knee a little bit. And breathe here into this hamstring stretch. And hamstrings tend to get short and tight because we sit a lot. Just inhale slowly, walk yourself back up. Bend that knee. Let's do the other leg. So take the right leg out in front of you. Once again, thinking of the hip joints. Inhale as you lengthen. Exhale as you hinge at that hip and you come forward over that leg. Get a little bit of stretch on that hamstring. And always like to think of holding the breath, not for a count, but for a breath. So I count 3 to 5 breaths and see how that works. And then slowly coming back up. And also this idea of a sigh. So if you come to a place where the stretch is particularly difficult, and you're like, take a deep breath in and then sigh. Like a teenager would sigh if you told them to do something. And see if that helps release that stress and that tension, and maybe you'll get a little more stretch. All right, one more. We're going to do a pigeon. So pigeon stretch is really good for the hips, so we can do that. Once again, I will show you on the mat so you can see. But so if your knees are, if you have bad knees, because a lot of equestrians do, you can just gently cross left ankle over right ankle. Okay, so that's going to get you a stretch. So let the knee gently drop out. But another version, and I don't want you to think that the different options, one's better than the other. It's just different, and everybody's body is different. The next option is to gently cross the leg over the knee. And then you check in here and you say, am I leaning or am I sitting up straight? You take the left hand to the inside of that left thigh. You take a deep breath in. Exhale, you gently apply just a little bit of pressure. See if you can push that knee down a little bit. Gentle. It's always gentle. Never pushing so it hurts. And you release that pressure, bring the leg back up, uncross the legs, and then we could do the other side. Well, let's do the other side. Why not? Choose the version that works best in your body. Take the right hand to the inside of the right thigh. Deep breath in. Exhale, gently push the thigh away. Long, slow, deep breaths. And then gently release and uncross the legs. Wow. That went faster than I thought it was going to go. Only a half hour doesn't last long. Let me show you. Let me show you that pigeon stretch, because pigeon is very important stretch and very helpful stretch for riders. So I've brought some toys just to show you. Blocks are very helpful for forward fold. If you don't have the stretch in your hamstring, you can use a block. Straps will bring your leg towards you if you need to. Like when we did that hamstring stretch, if you put the strap around the hamstring, it would help you get a little more deeper in the stretch. So as we're on our back, and then you cross ankle over thigh, just like we did seated. So you can stay here, push it like we did seated, or the other option, you pick up that opposite leg, hands behind, you gently draw the knees into your chest. So there's that version. Third version of pigeon. Standing. So let's all stand and come to the back of our chairs. So you got the chair in front of you. Standing pigeon. I like to do this before I get on my horse. He looks at me really weird, but I'm like, it works. So you're going to build. You can stand here. You can squat down. The further down you squat, the more you're going to feel that stretch in the hip, but it's going to be hard on the knees. So watch what works best for you. All right, then come up, switch and do the other side. Keep that foot flexed. Come down as far as feels comfortable, remembering it's okay if you don't go very far. It's okay if you just do the one in the chair. It's okay. And then come up. Great. All right. So that's about all we have time for. But let's come back to the seats and sit down again. I'm going to end with a mantra meditation. So the meditations, we've got so many different types of meditation you can do. I mean, we did a breath meditation at the beginning. We did a box breath. There are other variations of breaths that we can play with. What we're going to do next is a mantra meditation, where we choose a word or a phrase that means something to us, and we just repeat it with our breath. We inhale and exhale with our breath. There's chanting. Some people get queasy when we chant, so we're not going to do that. And then there's just visualization. That's a really good one before you go into your dressage test, to sit there on the horse and just close your eyes and just gently visualize your test.